This is the new VMAX VX4 GT. VMAX is causing quite the stir, and the VX4 GT is, without a doubt, the jewel in this Swiss brand's crown. Positioned to rival popular models like the EMOVE Cruiser S and Fluid Vista, it offers excellent range, a smooth ride and heaps of versatility. If it's a simple yet reliable and nimble yet rugged ride that you're after, then I suggest giving this one some serious thought. Plus it comes with a generous 2-year warranty that puts many of its rivals to shame. Sure, it may not be the fastest in its price class, but the VX4 hasn't been designed for high octane thrills. Instead, it's an everyday sidekick that won't let you down come rain or shine. And with a price tag that sits in the sub $1,500 class, it represents serious bang for your buck. So with those words of praise, let's take a closer look as I explore its design and features and share the results from my performance tests. Yes. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of the VX4's design, I first want to highlight its build quality. You see, VMAX is a Swiss brand that's not only been honing its craft since 2015, but also owns the manufacturing facility where all of its scooters are designed and built. Add to this the fact that their scooters are UL 2272 certified, meaning they pass numerous tests for fire safety and electrical hazards, and these details give you a flavour of the quality on offer. I mean, you only have to look at how refined the IPX6 water resistant frame is. The most striking aspect is its flawless cable management. With no overhanging wires or obstructions, it achieves a clean and simple silhouette, making it easy to see its Swiss infused style. With one section of the frame flowing into the next, VMAX's attention to detail has been well achieved. This becomes even more evident when compared to rivals like the Fluid Vista, which, for all of its many qualities, has an underweighted stem and a short deck. Together, these hinder its handling, making it a little skittish at speed, while the extremely responsive thumb throttle makes you rock back and forth as you try to maintain a constant pace. With the VX4, every area of its design is balanced, resulting in a superior riding experience. This extends to its cockpit, which at 23 inches strikes the perfect width for ensuring control when beast mode is activated. I'll touch on this a little later in the review, so stick around. Elsewhere on the left, there's a button pad to control your settings, turn signals and riding modes. Now, while it's well positioned, it would benefit from a more responsive design. With gloves on, it was hard to tell if I'd pressed a turn signal or riding mode button. I had to check the display for confirmation each time. I had no gripes with the TFT display though. Measuring just shy of 4 inches and sporting a colourful design, it remained bright and visible even under direct sunlight. This is a major improvement on the washed out displays found on both the VX2 Pro and VX5 Pro. Another unique feature found in the cockpit is its USB port. Located underneath the button console, you can use it to charge your devices on the go. However, I soon realized that to use it, you have to turn the scooter off, plug your charging cable in, and then turn the scooter back on. If you try to plug the cable in while the scooter is on, it doesn't work. A word must also go to the throttle and hand grips. Ergonomically designed, the thumb throttle is smooth to operate and doesn't stick. It also regulates the flow of power smoothly for a controlled riding experience. The hand grips, meanwhile, are extremely tactile with a stippled top half and cross-hatched underside. This thoughtful design extends to the deck. Whichever way you slice it, it offers ample room. Measuring where the neck of the scooter meets the deck, there are 18.9 inches of usable space in length. On the other hand, if you count the space on either side of the neck, it measures 21.9 inches. Altogether, this translates into a platform that affords comfort. Whether you like to ride with your feet in an L-shaped position, side by side or staggered, it can accommodate you. Plus, with the 3.9-inch kick plate sitting at a 31-degree angle, you can lean into the ride for enhanced control at speed. The 6.1 inches of ground clearance keeps the deck high enough to reduce the risk of damage when navigating curbs too. The 10-inch tyres also play a role here. More interesting though is that their hybrid tread and rounded front-on profile contributed to a nimble and comfortable ride, whilst also inviting comparisons to similar all-terrain tyres sported by the likes of the Vala Eagle 1 V2, Mantis King GT and Fluid Vista. Along with its suspension, this makes the VX4 versatile. I rode it across both streets and dirt tracks with no discernible drop-off in performance. The tyres are tubeless too, making them far more durable than their inner tubed counterparts. One improvement would be to make them self-healing, but you can do this by yourself by applying Dr. Orange tyre sealant. So we've established that the VX4 hits all the right notes for control, balance and comfort, but how does it fare in the portability department? Well, weighing 63.9 pounds, it isn't exactly light, and while it comes with a folding mechanism, there's room for improvement. The folding lever is slick and easy to operate, but the same can't be said for how the latch on the back of the handlebars hooks to the kick plate. It's difficult to connect the two, and they have a habit of becoming unhooked, making the scooter cumbersome to maneuver when folded. You have to awkwardly push the kick plate hook up and hold it there while simultaneously aligning the handlebar latch with it. Then, to keep them connected, you need to maintain upward pressure on the folded stem to ensure everything is locked into place. If not, you can't lift it. As soon as you put the scooter down and let go of the stem, it unhooks, leaving the handlebars unsecured and resting on the kick plate. Now, while I'm on the topic of areas for improvement, the mobile app is also pretty basic. Via it, you can use Google Maps for navigation, monitor key stats, and change your units of measurement from imperial to metric. Unfortunately, though, you can't adjust any of the performance settings for this. You need to do it via the P settings on the display. Interestingly, the app isn't as advanced as the one used by the cheaper VX2 Pro and VX5 Pro. Something that the VX4 shares with these two scooters though is its all-around lighting rig. Leading the charge is a high mounted headlight that offers ample illumination. The stars of the show, however, are the turn signals. Built into the end of the handlebars and at the back of the kick plate, they serve up excellent visibility. However, as mentioned, the buttons to activate them aren't as responsive as I would have liked. The rocker switch on the VX2 Pro and VX5 Pro works better. Now, in my reviews of Apollo scooters, including the Ergo City and Pro, I mentioned that the plastic caps on the end of their handlebar integrated turn signals crack and smash easily. Well, I'm pleased to report that there are no such concerns here. VMAX's design is superior. They're completely smash proof even if you drop the scooter. This is all thanks to the rubber end caps that wrap around the plastic of the turn signals. Then there's the fender embedded tail light. I have no quibbles with its brightness at light. That would be nice if it flashed when the brakes were applied. Instead, it just glows a brighter red. Now, the last thing that I want to cover before moving on to my performance report is the VX4's ability to accommodate heavier riders. With a maximum load bearing capacity of 330 pounds, it's one of the few single motor scooters that I recommend. Based on my test, it performed admirably under my 197 pound weight, and given the strength of its motor and the size of its battery, I believe that it will be a good fit for anyone that weighs up to 250 pounds. As with all of my reviews, before I share the results from my speed, acceleration, hill climbing, range, braking, shock absorption and ride quality tests, let me first lay the foundations. I'm 6'1", weigh 197 pounds and used high precision GPS data loggers to record the test data. It's also important to know that although the VX4 has a single motor and is being built for long range rides, its price tag resides in a category where dual motor models enter the equation. So to report on its performance among similarly priced competitors, I chose to compare it to both single and dual motor models separately. With that out of the way, let's jump in and start with top speed. According to VMAX, it can reach a top speed of 25 miles per hour, though impressively, my test revealed that it's capable of actually hitting 25.8 miles per hour. To reach this top speed, I first had to bypass the 21.7 miles per hour speed limit that comes preset on the scooter. To do this, I had to enable the secret beast mode setting by tapping the on button 5 times. I also found that you could use the same trick on the VMAX VX2 Pro. However, with the VX4, it's impossible to tell if you've actually activated it until you ride, as the display doesn't acknowledge the setting change. This is the same for cruise control, which requires 3 taps. Comparing the VX4 GT's top speed to similarly priced dual motor models, it doesn't uproot any trees. It does, however, edge the Apollo Go. Its performance overall isn't surprising, especially when you consider that the nominal power of its motor is smaller than those found on its rivals. The leader of the pack is the Mantis V2 with its dual 60 volt 1000 watt motors, 3000 watt peak power output and 37.3 miles per hour tested top speed. Ultimately, if speed per dollar is at the top of your priority list, there are better options than the VX4. Shifting the focus to single motor models, the picture doesn't change all that much. The VX4 GT remains lower down in the rankings, with the EMOVE Cruiser S taking the gold. Again, this is expected given that it has a larger and more powerful 52 volt 1000 watt motor. The VX4 is more of a Mo Farah marathon runner than a Usain Bolt sprinter. It does, however, perform admirably in the acceleration department. Based on my test, which saw me complete a total of 5 two-way directional runs across a range of intervals, I can reveal that it takes 3.2 seconds to reach 15 miles per hour, 5.4 seconds to 20 miles per hour, and 9.6 seconds to 25 miles per hour. Like its top speed, its acceleration is zippy yet controllable. Let's delve deeper into how this performance compares to its rivals, starting with the dual motor models. Despite having the smallest motor of the bunch, the VX4's peak power output of 1600 watts sees it beating 2 of its dual motor competitors to 15 miles per hour. This is extremely impressive, especially when you consider the motor power of the Apollo Go and eMove Roadrunner. Yet, as to be expected, its performance is outstripped by the majority of its competitors. Here, the Mantis V2 leaves the chasing pack in the dust with an acceleration rate that's 34% faster to 15 miles per hour and 51% quicker to 25 miles per hour. The VX4's performance is far more impressive when we narrow down the comparison to its single motor counterparts. Here, it achieves second place behind the fluid Vista. It even manages to edge the EMOVE Cruiser S. It's also worth pointing out that the VX4 climbed my 10.46% hill grade test with ease, while I managed to ascend a total of 1,683 feet during my range test, clearly indicating the GT's ability to climb hills and maintain a high level of performance. Based on my experience, I recommend it for scaling moderate inclines. This makes it ideal for most neighborhoods. Next, let's take a look at range. Armed with a 48 volt 23.2 amp hour battery, the VX4 GT has a claimed maximum of 62 miles, though my test revealed a real world range of 36.72 miles. My average speed was 16.9 miles per hour, the average temperature was 71.6 degrees Fahrenheit, and I rode it for 2 hours 10 minutes and 41 seconds. The VX4 can also be purchased in 2 other models with smaller batteries, including the LT, which has a 13 amp hour battery and a max range of 34 miles, and the ST, which has an 18.2 amp hour battery and a max range of 46 miles. When comparing the GT's mileage against its similarly priced dual motor rivals, it takes the crown. This comes as no surprise considering that it sports the third largest battery while it also has the smallest motor, meaning less power is needed to keep the wheels rolling. As for its standing among single motor models, the GT once again stands out as a top performer, beating all other scooters bar the long range king, the EMOVE Cruiser S. By comparison, the Cruiser has a 40% bigger battery. However, one thing to bear in mind is that the VX4 GT is far more versatile than the Cruiser, making it a better choice if you plan to ride across varying terrain. This brings me on to its shock absorbing capabilities. The presence of a front hydraulic fork and rear rubber block allows for around 2 inches of travel. This makes a noticeable difference when compared to the VX2 Pro GT, which has no suspension. There was no bottoming out either, despite my best efforts jumping up and down on the deck. Most impressive of all though was that it performed well on varying terrain. With the plush tyres also playing a role, I awarded the VX4 a respectable 6.5 out of 10 on my shock absorption scale. Add to this a spacious deck, a 9-degree rake angle, a tall stem and wide handlebars, and the VX4 offers excellent overall ride quality. Comfort, balance and stability are all guaranteed. Whether I was accelerating, cruising, cornering or braking, I felt in control at all times. To put this into perspective, I felt that it was far more enjoyable to ride than the fluid Vista and ever so slightly more smooth sailing than the EMOVE Cruiser S. Now, the last area of assessment in my performance report is braking. I should state that I tested the model with a drum at the front and a regen brake at the rear. However, the latest version of the VX4 also has a disc at the rear. Now, I've seen Apollo integrate regen braking into easy to control paddles, but this is the first time that I've seen a lever used solely for regenerative braking. Using this alone brought me to a stop from 15 miles per hour in 7.2 meters. With the drum added into the equation, I stopped in a much shorter 3.4 meters. So that's all of the results from my performance test. Next, I'll give my final verdict on whether or not the VX4 is worth buying. The more I think about the VX4, the more I see similarities between it and both the EMOVE Cruiser S and Fluid Vista. You see, the VX4 brings the best of both scooters into one complete package. Not only does it have a long, real-world tested range and spacious dimensions like the Cruiser, but it also benefits from an excellent suspension system and hybrid tyres like the Vista. Factor in its Swiss build quality, impressive handling and comparatively superior warranty, and the case for the VX4 offering great value for money becomes even stronger. However, in the wider context of scooters, the VX4 GT cannot match the raw speed of many similarly priced dual motor models, yet it remains one of the fastest single motor scooters in its price class for acceleration. When it comes to mileage though, it's one of the best there is, beating almost all of its competitors. Whether this constitutes value for money will depend on your priorities. With all of the comparisons made, I think that the VX4 GT strikes the perfect balance between a price tag that's affordable and a performance profile that's competitive. Pros include it has a long real-world tested range, a zippy acceleration, a quiet motor, smooth front and rear suspension, versatile hybrid tubeless tyres, great handling, excellent build quality, a regenerative braking system that recycles kinetic energy to recharge the battery on the go, immaculate cable management, spacious dimensions, is suitable for tall and heavy riders up to 6'4" and 330 pounds. It has bright turn signals that ensure 360-degree illumination. The display remains visible even under direct sunlight. The long fenders prevent splashback. The IPX6 water resistance rating is highly protective. It's low maintenance and it has a 2-year warranty within which VMAX will take care of all the costs related to shipping. This is incredibly rare, with almost all other retailers and brands charging you for shipping fees related to any warranty claims. They also operate a network of repair shops to make shipping easier. Cons include, while the folding lever is simple to operate, the same can't be said for how the latch on the back of the handlebars hooks to the kick plate. It's difficult to connect the two, and they have a habit of becoming unhooked. This makes it cumbersome to maneuver when folded. The button pad to control the settings, turn signals and riding modes is well positioned, but it will benefit from a more responsive design. With gloves on, it was hard to tell if I had pressed the turn signal or riding mode button. And while the tail light is bright at night, it doesn't flash when you brake. Instead, it just glows brighter. Now, as with all of my reviews, here are a few alternatives that you may want to consider. First on the list, I'm keeping it within the VMAX clan and recommending the VX2 Pro GT. Not only is it cheaper, but it has a similar top speed, is 18.9 pounds lighter, and it has a much better folding mechanism that keeps the stem and fender locked together, making it easier to carry. It also has a more advanced mobile app, and the rocker switch for the turn signals is easier to use. But it has a 6.2 miles shorter tested range, supports 43 pounds less rider weight, and its display gets washed out in direct light. The biggest drawback, however, is that it doesn't have suspension or hybrid tyres, meaning it's not as versatile and has inferior ride quality. Next, we have the EMOVE Cruiser S. This is a good choice if you need as much range as you can get. It's cheaper, has a 40% bigger battery that promises 11.3 more miles of real-world tested range, a more powerful motor that delivers a 6.2 miles per hour faster tested top speed, and responsive semi-hydraulic brakes that ensure a 24% shorter stopping distance. Plus, it's 11.9 pounds lighter with a more compactable folded frame thanks to its telescopic stem and foldable handlebars. Then there are its self-healing tyres, the option of adding a seat, and the fact that it can support heavier riders up to 352 pounds. It, however, has a 13% slower acceleration rate, slightly less shock absorption, it's not as versatile, its build quality isn't as refined, and its turn signals are inferior. Now it's time to move on to my dual motor recommendations. If you want the most motor power per dollar, then the Mantis V2 may be a good fit. Its dual 60 volt 1000 watt motors outpace the VX4 with a top speed that's 11.5 miles per hour faster, while they also deliver an acceleration rate that on average is 43% quicker. Similarly, its fully hydraulic brakes promise a 41% shorter stopping distance, while its swing arm suspension provides superior shock absorption. As expected, it's also a stronger hill climber. Yet it costs more, has an 8.7 mile shorter tested range, a less ergonomic finger throttle, and its IPX5 water resistance rating isn't as protective. There's no mobile app either. The last alternative is the Apollo City Pro. Now, this scooter is a favourite of mine. It has dual 48 volt 500 watt motors that deliver a 5.4 miles per hour faster tested top speed, as well as a 32% faster acceleration rate. It also has a 38% shorter stopping distance, superior shock absorption, a more premium build, a mobile app that's more advanced, self-healing tyres, and a better folding mechanism. But it costs more, the display gets washed out in direct light, and the handlebar integrated turn signals are more prone to damage. It also has a 9.7 mile shorter tested range. Now, to find out more about the VMAX VX4 GT or any of the alternatives, click on the links in the description where you'll also find exclusive discount codes. Thanks for watching.